Shinobu male greatness is finally upon us, dude. I cannot wait to see my best girl, to see that kiss shot Asaroda Orion Heart Underblade, that Shinobu Oshino greatness, man. Yo, I've waited too long for this arc. I've waited too long for this arc because while I was highly anticipating Ori, because it's the only, volumes that I have no knowledge of, really, as far as Monogatari series, the only volumes that I never read because of various issues. While I had been heavily anticipating, the Ogi developments that we've gotten so far, this arc, finding out what happened during the blank time period, during this, these events, it's gonna be real. It's gonna be absolutely real. Getting to see my girl Kanbaru back, man, and that Araragi x Kanbaru dialogue was good. As always, the sexual innuendo, my girl Kanbaru's quirks and ridiculous rotten girl try-hard nature, Araragi's retorts, you had the poses on deck, Shaft was going in with the fucking, the certain illustrations were amazing. That magical girl Kanbaru, man, that shit was amazing. And then we got to see my girl YOTSUGI appearing at the end, numerous points of setups, and I don't want to go too in-depth, but I can already kind of see where this is going. But with this review of Owarimonogatari Episode 7, Shinobu Male Episode 1, the final arc of this core, I just really want to center everyone, in case, your Monogatari knowledge is a bit rusty, and kind of just make sure you all know where we are, where we're coming off of from Shinobu. I mean, from Shinobu. That's how hype I am for my girl, dude. That Shinobu greatness. But guys, coming off of Sodachi loss and everything like that, I want to center us and make sure everybody, realizes what's going on and the kind of setup that we got with this episode. So, first of all, the very beginning of the episode, where we see, Kisha on the kind of Arctic mountain range, and Aragi's talking about, before we get to the conclusion, I have to tell this tale. It's basically him breaking the fourth wall and recounting to us, he knows we've all been anticipating these events that transpired during, TSUBASA TIGGER, where the fuck was Araragi before he showed up with KOKO WATARI in that badass beast finale to the arc. But, he basically breaks the fourth wall and tells us, and it all goes back to, once again, Ogi, dude. And there's some lines that Ogi utters in the beginning, portion of the episode that really get me once again, but I don't want to waste any time this week, kind of adding to my heavy Ogi theories already. Everybody knows how I see Ogi and everything like that if you've been watching my reviews. Clearly, Akai and Oddity formed from Aragi's subconscious and probably has links to the darkness, which we'll probably also get into during this arc, since coming off of Shinobu time and the events that happened there, which is where this arc is kind of centered right after, and the Black Orb and everything like that. We might get more developments as to that. But once again, the hints of Ogi, having that link to Araragi and knowing, what he's about to tell her already and everything like that. She says something, though, man, that really is me. Where she's like, it is this really fucked up indirect threat where she's like, what happened to KAIKI Deazd, man? My best boy of the series, the realest character in the entire series. She's like, what happened to that con artist? Do you want to end up the same way? You better tell me this story. I'm like, yo, Ogi, that's some fucked up veiled threat. But the dialogue in that opening scene, dude, that dialogue is real, man. Basically talking about how she's the nemesis of procrastination. I forget all the, exactly how the dialogue went on. But the nemesis of lies and screw-ups, dude. I'm just like, yo, this kind of veiled dialogue with Ogi every week, man, is something that I always love to analyze and get into. But I don't want to spend too much time with it here because I've already gotten sidetracked. I don't have time to really go too in-depth this week with the review, right? But aside from that, we have to realize and center ourselves as to where we are. Basically, Shinobu Male takes place during the events of TSUBASA TIGGER of Nekomonogatari Shiro, and after the events of Owarimonogatari of Shinobu time. So basically, if you guys remember what transpired in Shinobu time and everything like that, Araragi and Shinobu's link being severed, which there's a reference to in this episode, I don't even, nobody wants me to bring her, but the one of the best girls of the series, and her departure and everything like that. My girl, my eye, man. I hesitate to bring her up all the time because the feels still get me to this day, but we'll be seeing her soon. From my understanding, we'll be seeing her soon enough. But anyway, that whole setup and what Guy and Izuku said concerning the sphere and everything like that, And we got kind of insight into what's taking place, which I'll go into in a second. But during the time period, like I said, where, you know, Tsubasa and Gahara-san were having that sleepover and everything like that, you know, the tiger apparition KOKO was going around setting fire to her home and everything like that. Araragi was missing the entire time, and these are the events as to where Araragi and Shinobu were at during Tsubasa Tiger. So that's basically where we are chronologically. These events take place about 2 months prior to, you know, the arcs that we just saw, Ogi Formula, Sodachi, you know, Ritalin, and Sodachi Lost, and because directly after those, chronologically, is Nadeko Medusa. So now that we have that out of the way, clearly the suit of armor, which we got the exposition which confirmed it to me, but once Aragi's like, it's using energy drain during that bout with Kanbaru, which the animation shaft was just going into, the art, the color palettes, especially once the armor appeared and everything like that, shit looked, it looked pristine. It was amazing. But aside from that, you know, once it used the energy drain, I knew it was a vampire, and I knew it had the link to Shinobu, and I remembered, you know, the whole tale when you remembered back during Shinobu time when they discussed the events of 400 years in the past and everything like that, and Shinobu's prior vampire servant and everything like that. So this is Shinobu's prior vampire servant that wielded KOKO WATARI and was slaying oddities and everything like that in the past. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know where he returned from. I clearly remember Shinobu saying that he was dead. So this is going to be interesting to see how the mystery unravels and this whole thing surrounding KOKO WATARI. But I believe that Gain also requested to meet Kanbaru at this time, and that's why Araragi summoned her there in the first place. So there's definitely a lot of setup going on, thinking back to the end of Shinobu time and what was going on during Tsubasa Tiger, because people might be confused about this as well. When you see the flame powers that end up, you know, forcing the armored dude, the armored servant to leave, Angela and Kanbaru mentions Hanekawa, and some people might like, wait, but if this takes place during Tsubasa Tiger, then how does she already have Kako's abilities? That was just straight up Kako rampaging at the time. That was before, you know, Tsubasa Tiger had yet to be resolved. That was just Kako, you know, the apparition itself, and that's why, you know, the armored servant was like, yo, did you step on the tail of a tiger or some shit like that? So that's basically what happened there and how they rescued. It was straight up Kako. Hanekawa really had nothing to do with it. Kanbaru only mentions Hanekawa because, you know, she's aware of the events that are transpiring at this time. And then at the end we get to see YOTSUGI bursting and everything like that, but this arc is going to center around Shinobu's past yet again, you know, restoring this link between Shinobu and Araragi, which people have to remember about this clearly right here, because I love that scene where Kanbaru is like, can you be my first? And they're talking about bracing themselves for what needs to happen, and Araragi is just straight up like, there's only one person that I'm willing to die with, to lay my life down with. And if you remember, you know, even going back to the events of Maya Janshi and everything that, you know, that was said between them and their bond back there, you have to remember that Araragi has 2 waifus, okay? It's not just Gahara-san, and granted, that is the OTP ultimately. Look at that Gahara-san link is definitely that, and don't get it twisted. Gahara-san is tied for my number 2 favorite female character in the series, but Shinobu will always be best girl. Shinobu is that number 1, and she is on that Gahara-san level in terms of her bond with Araragi. So that's pretty much the episode, man. I'm hyped to get into Shinobu Mail. Let me know your thoughts, and I will definitely go more in depth next week and everything like that. So that's pretty much it. I'm out. Peace.